the policing of the province. Well, earlier I spoke to our correspondent Mark Simpson, who explained the specifics of the operation.
I think it's important to put it all into the overall context, which is that this isn't a case of troops going back onto the streets of Belfast like during the Troubles. Far from it. We're only talking about a very small number of specialist soldiers here, and they'll be working very, very much undercover surveillance, intelligence gathering, that sort of thing, specifically against dissident Republicans. Everyone in Northern Ireland is agreed that there's a big problem with dissident Republicans, but not everyone agrees that the police and the army are handling the problem correctly.
And so the issue with the nationalist community or the Republican community is that, what, they weren't consulted?
Yes, it all hinges on this meeting of the police watchdog over here, the policing board. Sir Hugh Ord, the chief constable here in Belfast, addressed that meeting yesterday. He talked for almost an hour, but he didn't mention this. And nationalist politicians, Sinn Féin and the SDLP, are very angry about this. And I'm told in the last couple of minutes that the chief constable has announced that he will be addressing another meeting of the policing board next week in an attempt to try and calm everybody down, I think.
Mark Simpson talking to Carrie a little earlier.
And the nationalist SDLP in Northern Ireland's expressed concern about reports that Army Special Forces have been deployed in the province.
I'm going to cut across you and apologise for that, but let's go live to Belfast.
All right. This is the anti-city airport expansion campaign we're launching here this morning.
Alex, you're live on the BBC News channel. What's your view of what has happened?
Well, we're very concerned at the very latest announcement. We would consider it to be a backward step, any such deployment. We're also concerned in the manner in which this has been conveyed to the public.
Why are you so annoyed?
Well, first of all, we had a meeting of the policing board yesterday at which the chief constable spent most of the day. None of this announcement was made yesterday to the policing board, so I think it was a matter of grave discourtesy that happened in that way. I will say, we have already, as a party, been in touch with Downing Street, with the Taoiseach's office, with the Secretary of State's office, and Micheál Martin, the Minister for Foreign Affairs in Dublin. And I've had a conversation with Hugh Ord this morning myself, and I will probably meet him later this afternoon. So we have a number of concerns. First of all, the manner in which this matter has came into the public domain, and more importantly perhaps is that whatever implication there may well be as a result of this particular deployment.
If this is to make people here safer, what's your problem with it?
The way to make people here safer is for the police to do their job in an impartial, non-political manner, and that has to be sacrosanct, and that has to be a priority for us all. And I would say that the Chief Constable himself, no later than yesterday, reaffirmed his own personal commitment to that, and I was very glad to hear that.
Do you have a particular problem with the Special Forces?
I have a very particular problem with any of those forces. I would remind yourself that I would be a victim of those organisations, having been shot myself by people in collusion with the so-called Special Forces. And there are many other people in this community who are still, as we speak, trying to pick up the pieces of their involvement in Irish affairs.
Should Hugh Ord resign over this?
Well, I'm not calling on the Chief Constable to resign. I've spoken to him this morning directly. He is fully aware that I consider yesterday and the way in which this announcement has been made as a serious breach in confidence. But we'll work that out with the Chief Constable, and I'm not calling on him to resign. He knows my position, he knows how serious a matter we consider this to be, and we will have further discussions on this issue with the Chief Constable.
How difficult will it be for your party to sell policing on the streets on the back of this?
Well, we have taken a very important decision in recent years as a result of a very intensive internal discussion, a very public discussion with people who have a direct interest in policing. People came and gave us a very substantial mandate to engage with policing, and we are doing so on the basis to ensure that the people of this community have a fair police service, an effective and efficient and representative police service, and we will deliver that. So our job, working with the Chief Constable and the PSNI, is to ensure that we do have a fair and effective police service, and we will continue to strive for that. And I have said to the Chief Constable himself this morning that matters like this do not cause that service very well.
But Alex, Chief Constable's not going to change his mind with it.
Well, let's see what happens in the time ahead. As I've said, I've spoken to the Chief Constable. I've made him aware directly and personally how the community that we represent as a party feel about this particular issue. We have raised it directly with both governments, and this is a matter which will be dealt with.
How has this left relations between Sinn Féin and the Chief Constable?
Well, I mean, you've already heard the news this morning, and I'm telling you, I spoke to the Chief Constable, made him very aware directly and personally that I consider it as a serious breach of confidence. Now, that is not something which I am prepared to say lightly. We will work through these matters, whether it's the Chief Constable or with anyone else. These matters, in my view, go beyond the Chief Constable. They are in the political realm, and we will deal with it on that basis. Okay. Thank you.
So Alex Maskey from Sinn Féin there speaking to journalists in Belfast. Clearly you get the sense of his displeasure, as we've been getting that sense over the course of the day. The leak to the BBC late last night that there are special forces working in Northern Ireland. Alex Maskey saying that he has spoken now to the Chief Constable about this. You may have heard some of the questions being asked there by our Ireland correspondent Mark Simpson, and let's get a little more from Mark. No surprise, we would have expected Alex Maskey to say a lot of the things he did, Mark, but talk us through their reaction to all of this morning.
Yes, I think it tells you a lot about the level of this row. We've had many storms in a teacup over here in Northern Ireland before, let's face it, but the very fact that the Chief Constable felt he needed to talk to Sinn Féin this morning shows just how sensitive an issue this is. Is Alex Maskey or Sinn Féin going to change the mind of the Chief Constable? No, I don't think these troops are going to be going back to the UK mainland or back to Afghanistan or Iraq where they were previously. But clearly this has really strained one of the key political relationships here in Belfast, that between the police and Sinn Féin.
And just remind us what we know about what actually has been going on, it transpires.
Well, by the nature of these covert operations, we don't know an awful lot of the actual detail. All we know is that this reconnaissance regiment has sent X number of soldiers, we don't know how many, to help in the intelligence battle against dissident Republicans. Within the last 5 or 6 years, the threat from those Republicans has never been higher, and the Chief Constable has asked for extra help to deal with it, and he's got it.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you for now. Clearly more on this over the course of the morning. Thank you, Mark Simpson in Belfast.
Who's been following developments tonight. Just give us the very latest on what you know about the situation so far.
So 2 military personnel killed in this attack a few hours ago at the Mazarine Army Barracks. 4 other men taken to hospital, some of them seriously injured, some of those civilians. The attack happened at about 20 to 10 last night. It seems now that a pizza delivery van was involved in some way, as we heard from many of those eyewitnesses there. Some reports say that the security staff and soldiers at the gate came up to the pizza delivery van and then were attacked by bursts of gunfire. Other reports say that men from the van or from other vehicles actually went into the entrance of the base. So we're still uncertain about that, but certainly this pizza delivery van used in the attack in some way or other. Local residents talk about 2 long bursts of automatic gunfire.
I'm just going to jump in there while you're speaking, Andy. We've got a little bit more now from the Northern Ireland Secretary, Sean Woodward, which is in addition to the statements that he released a little earlier condemning the attacks. In this statement he's said that the people who did this will be pursued and that they will never stop the political process in Northern Ireland. It also adds that the Prime Minister Gordon Brown is being kept closely informed about the incident. So that's just a little bit more from the Northern Ireland Secretary Sean Woodward on the attacks tonight. Andy, what other political reaction has there been so far?
We've also heard from Peter Robinson, the First Minister in Northern Ireland, who's postponed a trip to the USA. He said this was a terrible reminder of the events of this past. He called it a futile act. Futile in the sense of trying to destabilise the peace process, and he said it will not succeed. So we've heard from quite a lot of the political spectrum, a lot of people saying that it's time for everyone in Northern Ireland to come together. So far, I'm not aware of any comment from Sinn Féin at the moment. A few days ago, they did criticise Sir Hugh Orde for bringing in the Special Reconnaissance Regiment soldiers from the UK. At the time, Martin McGuinness said that was stupid and dangerous, but we've had no comment yet from Sinn Féin on this attack. Also, no claim of responsibility, I should add. Everyone is assuming it's the work of dissident Republicans, but no claim of responsibility yet.
Yes, absolutely. There's certainly a lot of blame being apportioned to dissident Republicans tonight, but as you say, no confirmation of perhaps who the gunmen were.